Welcome to this fifth and the final summary of the 13th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with our gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Parampara, with whose grace this knowledge is preserved, transmitted for generations, so as to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Garvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the 13th Adhyaya is Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yoga, which is actually the Viveka, the discrimination to clearly see what is Kshetra and what is Kshetragnya Vibhaga. And this is the way to connect to the Lord, to the divinity. And though it is not a very well-known Adhyaya, but according to Guruji, this is the heart, it is the crux, it is the Tatparya of the message of Sri Bhagavad Gita, which is in turn the crux of the message of the Upanishadas. So if we just give an overview of Gitaji, the first 6 chapters were devoted more towards understanding the true nature, the Paramarthik Swarupa of the Jiva, which is also called the Tvam Pad Shodhana, which is, going deep into what is the Guruji says, Tvam Pada. So that is the Jiva, the true nature of the Jiva, to go deep into from Anatma, Neti, 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 going towards what I am in reality. That is what Bhagavad gave the Updesh in the second Adhyaya. And then he showed how we can achieve this by doing Karma Yoga, Jnana, Karma Sannyasa, Karma. And then finally 6th Adhyaya was the Dhyana Yoga. From 7th Adhyaya, the topics changed. What is to be known, what is that Jnana, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Akshara Brahma Yoga, and then the true nature of the Ishvara Swarupa, Vibhuti Swarupa, the Vishwarupa Darshana, and then the 12th Adhyaya was the Bhakti Yoga. So this tells us about the true nature of the Ishvara Tattva, that is also called the Tat Padartha Shodhana. So it is a Tat Padartha. And then finally in the last 6 Adhyayas is the true knowledge, the assimilation of this knowledge, to understand that both these are the same. The Paramarthik Swarupa, the true nature of the Jiva and Ishvara, are nothing but the same Lakshyartha, not the Vachyartha, not the Upadhi-janya Swarupa. Of course, Upadhi causes all the Bheda between Jiva and Ishvara, but by the true nature, the real nature, the Paramarthik Swarupa of both is the same. This Aikya Gnana, which is the Harda, which is the main crux of the Gitaji and the Upanishada, is revealed in the last 6 Adhyayas. And this is the beginning. The 13th Adhyaya is the beginning of that revelation by Shree Krishna. So scriptures tell us that my root problem in the life, most of my problems, the root cause is ignorance of my own self. That is Ajnana, or this Ajnana, which is the Samasti Ajnana, but as an individual, it is also called Avidya or ignorance. And this is what leads to the Bhranti, the illusion that I see. I can't see the reality, what is. And that's why I see something which is different than what really is. And that's why if Ajnana is the root cause, then only the Gnana can fulfill this or can relieve this Ajnana and can give me the real vision, what I need to see, what I need to do. And this is the only way I can find my solution for my freedom. In the 10th and the 11th Adhyaya, Bhagavan showed the Ishvara Tattva from the Vibhuti Swarupa, then going on to the Vishwarupa Darshana, and showed how the Jagata can be seen as the Lord's own manifestation, how Jagata can be same as Ishvara. And in the 12th Adhyaya, the Bhakti Yoga shows how we can devote to the Lord, how we can connect to the Lord, how we can unite with the Lord. And Bhakti is the most important way how we can become eligible for Atma Jnana. And that's why after the 12th Adhyaya, the 13th Adhyaya shows that Bhakti gives us that Adhikaritva, that suitability or capability, so that we can understand this Atma Jnana. And the third 13th Adhyaya, the main subject matter of these 13th Adhyaya is Atma Jnana. And this shows us how Jiva is the same as the Ishvara. There is no difference. But before understanding this, there is a certain eligibility to understand this Atma Jnana. And Bhagavan says that the Antakarana Shuddhi, purity of our mind, imbibing the values of life, Jivan ke Mulya, which are the ethical values of our life. And Bhagavan describes 20 moral values from the shlokas 7 to 11, which are mainly meant for seekers who really want to progress on this path, want to understand this Atma Jnana, which will make them eligible to understand this Atma Jnana. They are very beautiful life values, which we'll also see today. So the first Adhyaya starts with Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, but some of the Gitajis mention that it starts with Arjuna's question, not with what Bhagavan wants to say. Arjuna asked this question, but most of the Mata, most of the paths believe that this shloka was added later, and that's why it is not considered as the numbering of the shloka is in the Gitaji. And it starts with Arjuna's question. He wants to know what is the difference between Purusha and Prakruti. He wants to know what is the difference between Kshetra and Kshetragnya. And Arjuna wants to know what is the difference between Jnana, the knowledge, and Gneya, what is worth knowing. So these are the three questions that Arjuna asks, and Bhagavan gives a detailed description of all these in this Adhyaya. It starts with Kshetra, Kshetragnya, Viveka, then goes to Jnana, Gneya, Viveka, and then goes to Prakruti, Purusha, Viveka in the later part of the Adhyaya. And so the first shloka that Bhagavan Uvacha, he starts with saying, answers the question and says, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, Kshetramitya Vidiyate. O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Idam Shariram, this. Idam means this, what can be seen, what can be experienced, what can be directly seen in front of us, by Pratyaksha Pramana, by our Indriya, what comes into our understanding, our knowledge, our experience, by directly visualizing, seeing, smelling, touching, by all these Gnanendriyas. And that Pratyaksha Pramana, through which we can understand this Sharira, it is, this body is a Kshetra, Bhagavan says. And then he goes on to say, Etad yo vetti tam prahuhu. The one who knows this body, one who is the subject, who is the knower, who is the illuminator, who understands or Gnana, one who gets the Gnana of this or knows this, is the knower, is the Kshetragnya. And that's how he clearly mentions how these two elements are different. Kshetra is Idam Shariram Kshetra, and one who knows this, Etat yo vetti tattvataha, that person is the, subject is the Kshetragnya. And then in the second shloka, he says, Kshetragnam chapi mam vitti sarva kshetreshu bharata, means know me as a Kshetragnya of all these bodies. It's not just one body he's talking about. Idam Shariram means not just Arjuna's body, but he's talking about Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Sarva Kshetra means all the bodies. He says, know me as a Kshetragnya. I am the Kshetragnya. I am the knower of all the bodies. First he says, Sharira is the Kshetra, the knower is the Kshetragnya. Now he's talking of a Samasti level. He's saying all the bodies, he says, I am the Kshetragnya. Is not a Vyashti level but on Samashti level, and both are one and the same. That is what Bhagavan Krishna is trying to imply. The knowledge of this, it says, Kshetra Kshetragna yor jnanam yattaj jnanam matam mama. This is the true knowledge, the clear distinction between Kshetra and Kshetragna. He says, Bhagavan says, this is the correct knowledge which we all must understand. And in these two shlokas, he gives all the summarizes the entire understanding of the Upanishadas and the Gitaji, that I and Brahma is not different. I am Atma Brahma. He says in the first shloka, the one who is knower, that is the Atma, is a Kshetragnya. And in the second shloka, he says, all the, know me, means Paramatma and Atma is one and the same. Jiva and Ishvara is one and the same. Jiva itself is Paripurna, complete. Aham Brahmasmi, I and that is not different. Tat Tvam Asi. All these Mahavakyas, the earth is, is secretly hidden in these two shlokas. So again, understanding what is Kshetra. Kshetram, Bhagavan says Idam. Idam word means what comes in our experience, what can be seen, what can be experienced. And he says Idam Shariram Kshetra. So Sharira definitely Kshetra, and the entire world that comes under our understanding, by we can see it, smell, learn, understand about it, by other pramanas, it all that can be seen, heard, experienced, all this is an object of experience, and that's why it is all idam. And all this idam, he says, is Kshetra. And Bhagavan says, aham. Kshetragnya is the one who is the knower of everything, who is the experiencer, who is the subject of all these experiences. I am the Kshetra because I can see this body, I am not this body. I can experience this body and I am not this body because I can see it. And this aham is the Atma. And Bhagavan says this Atma is nothing but Paramatma, Brahma, aham Atma, ayam Atma, Brahma. And this is what is the understanding. And then in the next shloka, Bhagavan says that I'm going to describe to you what is Kshetra. I'm also going to describe the Vikara and the Prabhava of the Kshetra. Vikara means the modifications. Prabhava means its origin and all its energies that comes along with it. I'm going to describe you in very brief. Listen carefully. Shrunu, Arjuna, please listen carefully and then clearly differentiate this and understand this. And then Bhagavan in the next shloka says that many other Rishi Munis before me, even the Vedas have said the same thing. I am not the originator of this religion. This comes through the Sanatana Dharma. For many thousands of years, this has been said by Rishi Munis and Vedas. Brahma Sutra has also described it very vividly. Hetu madbhir vinishchitaihi means that by logic it has been firmly decided. It is not that they have just said it and you have to accept it or believe it. But by a lot of logic, this has been proved that this is the reality, what I am going to tell you now. And then Bhagavan in the next shloka, 5th shloka, he describes the Kshetra. It describes the 24 elements of the Kshetra as it is described in the Sankhya Shastras, what is the Prakruti and the Purusha Viveka, where Prakruti is made up of 24 elements. Here Bhagavan is saying Kshetra is made up of 24 elements. The 5 Pancha Mahabhuta, the Akasha, Agni, Vayu, Prithvi, Jala. Then Bhagavan says that Dashendriyani, Indriyani, Dashaikam. So the 10 Gnanendriya and 5 Gnanendriya and the 5 Karmendriya, that means the 10 Indriyas. Pancha Chendriya Gocharaha means the 5 objects of the senses, the 5 Vishaya, Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, and Buddhi, Mana, Ahankara and Avyakta. So Man, Buddhi, Ahankara and Avyakta means the Maya Shakti. The Maya Shakti through which everything develops, evolves. As entire Vyakta, Jagata, Srushti is created by this Maya Shakti. So all these 24 elements, the 5 Pancha Mahabhuta, the 10 Dashendriya, the 5 Vishayas, 20, and then the Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, 23, and Avyakta Maya, these form the Kshetra. And one who is the knower of all this is Kshetragnya, who is one. So Kshetra is multiple. There are many elements which are together. That's why it is called a Samuha. But the Kshetragnya or the Purusha is just one who is the knower of all this. And in the next shloka, 6th shloka, Bhagavan describes all the other modifications of Kshetra and Prakruti. He says, Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, the desires, the pain, the pleasure, Sanghata, Chetana, Antakaran, Vritti, through which we understand all this knowledge is available to us. Dhruti Shakti, our ability to bear confidence. And he says this is all the Kshetra, and that's why he is describing here what are the Sukshma feelings, not the Sthula that we can see or experience, but Sukha Dukkha is something which we can experience, we can understand, but we cannot see them. And that's why they are called Aparoksha, Anubhuti. And that's how this Sanghata, all this collectively, the body and all this, Bhagavan says this is all part of Kshetra. So Sukshma Sharira, this is all the part of Sukshma Sharira, not the Sthula Sharira. And this Sukshma Sharira is also the part of Kshetra. Bhagavan says this is part of Prakruti. Very clearly see this. Chetana, Antakarana, Vritti, all these is the part of, it is the Kshetra, it is the part of Kshetra or the Prakruti. And then before describing the Kshetragnya, the knower, or the Gnaya-Tattva or the Atma-Tattva, Bhagavan is describing the Sadguna Sampatti, the moral life values from the shloka 7 to 11. He describes 20 such moral values which are beautiful. And that's why we will see them in a little detail, because they are the ones that we can really incorporate in our day-to-day life. This kind of values, how we can see them. And these moral values are general codes of ethics, Samanya Dharma for all humans, but they are essentially more important for seekers who want to progress on this path, want to connect with the divinity. We all know it. Guruji says, no need for scriptures to tell us, because what I expect from others, I should not do to others. These are simple rules described in Mahabharata. What I don't expect from others, I should not do to others. And that's why these ethical values need to be imbibed in our life. We have to understand them, then we have to imbibe in our life for a change to happen. And they are like mirror for ourselves. We have to look within and see where we have to change, rather than seeing outside why people or where people should or would like to change. That is not our concern. Our concern is that we should change. So let us start with the seventh shloka, the first Sargun Sampati, Amanitvam, absence of a desire for respect from others, Adambitvam, absence of pretense or hypocrisy, Ahimsa, Shanti, Arjavam, Acharya Upasanam, Shaucham, Sthiryam, Atma Vinigraha. So we will see each and every in a little detail. Amanitvam is lack of desire for praise from others, and or we can say absence of craving for respect from others. And why does this happen? We always strive for this kind of appreciation, praise from others for whatever little we do. And the main reason for this inside is I don't understand my own self, misunderstanding my own self. And that's why the main solution to this problem is I should learn to assess myself correctly. What are my good values, attributes, guna? What are my vices, my dosha? I should see them correctly so that when people tell me, I don't get upset. And that's why I don't need to hear those kind of appreciation from others. There is no such expectation, because expectations or apeksha are the root cause of miseries, which will, when remain unfulfilled, give us a lot of pain. And that's why the solution, because the problem is misunderstanding my own self, the solution is the right kind of understanding, the right kind of attitude which comes with this right kind of understanding. And what is that right kind of understanding? The respect which I seek, I cannot command from people. It is commanded, it is not demanded. If I demand the respect, I won't get it. But my behavior, my demeanor, my work or my personality should be such that people would give me respect. And if I really have some problems, dosha, I should try and correct. Acceptance is the first step to change. And whenever I do something good, people appreciate me for that goodness. I must remember that I have been given everything in this world. Whatever I'm little doing is because of this energy, Shakti, and my, everything given by the Lord. And the team has also contributed significantly. Think of the team contribution. So with this understanding, we can avoid this kind of a constant desire or craving for respect from others. Adambitvam is absence of pretense. Damba is, something that we want to show more than what we have or what we are. And this show off in subtle way or in a more abstract way is something which is very common in this world. Everybody wants to show how much they know, how much wealth they have, what kind of possessions they have. In real, in everyday, day-to-day, our communication, a lot of these comes up. And the cause for this is incompleteness within. And unacceptance of this incompleteness, always we want to, show that we are more than what we actually are. And we should remember that there is a big loss of doing this, because we always have to remember what we are trying to show off leads to dishonesty, because we have something and we show something different. So there is a dichotomy, and then it causes a lot of time wasting in our life. It leads to split personality, many problems in our life. And that's why simplicity is what is expected for a peaceful life. Ahimsa, non-violence. It's a common value for everyone. Ahimsa, paramo dharma, it is said. And we should live and let others live. Should not make others miserable, unhappy. We should make others' lives also happy. And non-violence is in three folds. One is the bodily, non-violence by body, not hurting anybody, non-violence. And vegetarianism is one part where we knowingly don't hurt any jiva. Unknowingly, we may be doing some himsa while we walk, while we go in a vehicle, or when we, in our day-to-day life. But by knowing, at least we should avoid as much as hinsa as possible. Words, vachika hinsa, we do a lot of damage to people, to hurt others by our words, by being unaware. And that's why the main way to come out of this is to listen more, to speak less, to think and speak, and so that we don't need to feel sorry. And our Shastras tell us that our words should be mrudu, soft, firm, strong, but not harsh. And our mind also can cause a lot of hinsa because of the eccentric nature, some of our insistence, persistence, immaturity. And that's why we should try to make our mind our friend and not our enemy. Shanti. Shanti is forgiveness or accommodativeness. And there is a difference between sahanshilta or forbearance and Shanti, which is forgiveness. So forbearance or Sahanshilta is for situations and circumstances that happen in our life, whereas Shanti is glad acceptance of the people that who are around us and sometimes those who hurt us also. And this Shanti or forgiveness is essential for a healthy, loving relationship with our near and dear ones. People do forgive me often for my own mistakes, and so should I. It's okay. That's a kind of understanding. And this accommodativeness is being flexible in life and not being very strong or being very rigid in life. And this comes with a matured, positive attitude where we are able to forget these things and we are able to live happily. Arjavam. Arjavam is simplicity or straightforwardness, absence of any kind of fraud, dishonesty, having a simple personality where all the three, the mind, words and the action are all aligned in a single way, which leads to contentment, peace of mind, where the life becomes very simple and the relationships are very harmonious, causes a strong bonding with our near and dear ones, with faith in those relationships. Arjavam or simplicity does not mean that we remain silent and don't voice our protest or our rights. We should do that. But simplicity is itself is greatness. There is nothing much in greatness. It's only to be humble and simple, and it is an ornamental of people who are great, which shines out in their personality. So the ability to accept my own mistakes and others' virtues and soliciting help to others in itself is Arjavam or simplicity. Acharya Upasanam. It is Upasana means going close to the Guru, and Upasana means also Bhakti. So devotion to the Guru Bhakti. And we need a mentor for gaining any kind of knowledge, right from our school days to college days to our professional education. We always needed teachers. Whereas scriptures have a very hidden meaning. Sanskrit is also difficult for us to understand. There are very subtle subjects which we don't know much about. And that's why we need a skilled Acharya to handle these words, who have understood this from the Guru Shishya Parampara, the lineage. And Acharya, our Shastras tell us that both should be both Kshatriya. Kshatriya means they should be knowing the truth, they have understood the truth with all the Tatparya of the Shastra, and they are Brahmanishta. Brahmanishta means they are steadfast in the application of this knowledge, means that they have assimilated this knowledge in their life and they are living this life with this knowledge. This shelter of the Guru helps to dissolve our ahankara, our pride, and it shows me the right path which guides me onto this right path. Shaucham, purity or auspiciousness. Auspiciousness can be Shaucha, Shuchi may be outer purity, where our body is clean, where we do regular snana, hands, hygiene, clothes are clean, our home is kept clean, our asana is clean, our dhana, money is also clean, comes by ethical ways, our food, anna shuddhi, and our place of work is well organized and managed. This is all outer shuddhi. But the more important than this outer shuddhi is what is called as the inner shuddhi, cleanliness of our mind, our thoughts, our inner self, which brings awareness, where there are asuri, the daivi qualities or daivi sampatti is there, and we avoid our vices, asuri sampatti like anger, jealousy, all these are avoided. And only by daily introspection we can clean our mind of all these dirt every day and keep our mind clean. Stairyam, steadiness or firmness. We remain steadfast in our spiritual quest. We do it regularly, daily, nirantara, as a routine for long time to come, making it as a habit. And firmness in our kartavya, our actions, our priorities, our duties and our roles, different roles of our life. Firmness or steadiness in our goals, with understanding, with a resolve to change our life to reach those goals. For that, we may have to leave certain things, tyaga, we may have to accept certain things, grahana, and this is essential. And the discipline in the schedule with a firm resolve, with a little bit flexibility, because life has a lot of circumstances which come. We should not be very rigid, but at the same time, as soon as circumstances are gone, we should get back on our path, and this small little goals will help us to build our self-confidence. So essentially, steadfastness or firmness, dhrada nishchaya, is to overcome all difficulties with firmness of our decision. Atma vinigraha means self-control or mind control. Atma here means the body, mind, sense complex. As we understand Atma, the Jivatma, not the pure Atma or the pure Atman. Vinigraha means to hold it well with understanding. So Atma Vinigraha means self-control or mastery over our mind. And this should come with efforts. Initially it may be with effort, but gradually it should become effortless. So from Shama, Dhamma, Sahaja Niyantrana, and our mind should become like a Sadashwaha, like a trained horse which obeys the master. And this conditioned mind can be used whenever it is needed, and it can be retired when we don't want to use it, and that is under our control. Indriyartheshu vairagyam, this passion from the objects of the senses, anahankara, lack of false pride, janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshan darshanam. So let us see what is vairagya. So vairagya is something which is not understood properly, correctly by most of us. We believe that vairagya means going away from all people, going away from all the world's objects, and then sitting in silence somewhere and doing some kind of a dhyana meditation. But that is not real vairagya. Guruji says that vairagya is an ideal, healthy condition of the mind, so that I can see the world as it is. I can see the persons and situations as it is, without any of my colors or prejudices or by my conditioning. And this vairagya is not easy to achieve, because we have a lot of raga dvesha in our mind, through which we see this world as a colored world. And vairagya means absence of these raga dvesha, this good, bad, my labels, my judgments. And raga means attachments. So the presence of those persons or objects or situations gives pleasure, and the absence gives me pain. Dvesha means those objects, person, situation whose presence disturbs me. I want to get rid of them, and their absence gives me pleasure. Absence of raga dvesha completely is almost impossible. So vairagya essentially in life practically means that there is minimal raga dvesha, that is a healthy mind. That means that there is shithirikaran, or dissolving the raga dvesha. And this practical vairagya is useful to us, to all, and we can all attain it. And this needs a lot of understanding, viveka. Viveka is the root of understanding, introspection, and a drug nishchaya, and then practicing this kind of understanding. Anahankara. Anahankara means lack of false pride for ourselves, where we want to keep boasting about ourselves. And this dissolving of our ahankara, ego, is very, very important for the seeker on this path. Ahankara means I am identified with my body, mind, and the soul complex, the jiva, swarupa, and this is ashuddha, impure, and that's why whenever we boast of ourselves, it sounds very, impure. And because we feel that we are incomplete, we want to show what we are, we want to boast of ourselves, and we are apurna, paradhina, dependent, and this is ahankara, is a false illusion. Whereas in our journey where we have to reach, the goal is to unify ourselves, our ahankara, with the shuddha aham, that is the Atma Swarupa, or on a universal basis it is also called the same, is called the Brahma Swarupa, which is Purna, which is complete, Purna Mada, Purna Midam, Purnat, Purna Mudachyate, which is Sarva Vyapaka, which is all pervading, and which is Satya, which is true, which is the Sat Padartha, and that's why this is essentially the journey. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Anudarshanam means seeing the pain of the birth, death, old age and diseases, and seeing the reality of life, in a sense seeing the pain of life and death. And it is not by a negative attitude, by being depressed that there is only pain in the life, but by seeing the truth, the reality, by being aware that this pain comes to awaken me. And in birth, in fetal life, childhood is also very painful. It is a dependent situation. Diseases also are very unpredictable. They come anytime and they give us a lot of pain, miseries. Old age is also very dependent, helpless feeling, with our less capacity of all our indriya, all our organs are working at a very low capacity. And death itself, we know that there is a lot of fear of death of our own as well as of our near dear ones, because not only it is a one definite thing, but it is very unpredictable, and we are very helpless about this. Asakti anad vishwangaha putradara gruhadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishto papattishu. So asakti means lack of attachment. Sakti means attachment. Asakti means lack of attachment. And asakti means too much of attachment. So we must understand these differentiations. Attachment or sang is for the objects, persons, or situations where this love that we say becomes so much that we don't want to leave that person or object, and leaving becomes painful. So this is the asakti. So there is a difference between love and attachment. And invalid insistence and obstinate state of the mind, jid, duragraha, is the moola of this kind of attachment. The feeling of ownership, the maliki bhava, that I own this so that this person or this object should behave as I want it to, wanting to control that person, commonly happens with our spouses, with our children. And this is also one of the causes of attachment. And it is very easy to attach ourselves to people. We are made like that, but it's very difficult to leave that kind of attachment. Anabhishvangaha putradara gruhadishu. Lack of too much of affection towards children, spouse, home, etc. And this excessive love or affection can create a lot of moha and can create lots of problems. For children, we know that, we pamper them out of too much of affection or love. We make them sometimes indisciplined. We tolerate them. We give them too much of freedom so that they become, they create problems in their life. For spouse also, we need to have mutual trust, respect and love so that we can give them freedom rather than having a ownership feeling and trying to control them. Gruha adishu means we have an attachment, too much affection with our home and all the possessions that we have at our home, little things that we keep and bring in our house. And all this adishu means everything that is affiliated with this home. So this is what we need to come out of. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta anishta papattishu. So remaining in samatva bhavana, it is the goal. It does not mean that we become very rigid, but we can be compassionate by being samatva. So when we get something that we like, we don't develop too much of attachment, we don't be too much of happy. Whereas situations which we don't like, anishta, that situations that are like death of a near dear one, some incurable disease, which we don't like, then there is an initial phase of denial. We don't want to accept the reality. But we must understand that this does not change the reality and we should not feel too sad about it also. So this kind of samatva is what we need to strike. Mai chananya yogena bhakti avyabhicharini. Bhagavan is talking about bhakti, and there is a great benefit of this ananya bhakti and avyabhicharini bhakti that Bhagavan is talking about, that it creates a mrudu, soft mind which does not fracture. It dissolves our ahankara, identification. It purifies our inner mind so that we can attain the knowledge. It increases our acceptance of the life's situations, reduces our pain, and it increases our faith in the God. So whatever happens is for our own good. So we seekers never underestimate the potential power of this devotion, the bhakti, which is very, very important on this path, which will definitely make us adhikaritva for this jnana. Vivitta desha sevitvam, to remain in an isolated place, creating a habit of staying alone, but alone with our own self, we are able to enjoy and making the best use of this time when we are alone, because spiritual journey is an inner journey. We have to spend time with ourselves. Whenever we are alone, we are not just dependent on the text like TV, mobile or music for us to remain occupied, but we spend more time for learning, meditation and contemplation. Arati Jana Sansadi means avoiding large get-togethers or social contacts, having no craving for such kind of social contacts. And we must be aware that crowd mentality is something that can be disastrous sometimes. And that's why I must be aware with whom I get together, Sangha. And when we behave, we should think and speak and behave, avoid crossing our limits and avoiding dusanga, bad company, because satsanga is a great enabler on the path, and what kind of sangha we have, that creates where we reach. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. That means pursuing the study of the Atma Jnana on a regular basis, the study of Vedanta, Upanishadas on a regular basis by Jnana Sadhana, which is 3, Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. And Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam, keeping the benefit of Tattva Jnana constantly in the mind. Bhagavan says, Etad Jnanam iti proktam. He says, all this itself, all these moral values, these 20 values that I have described, they themselves are jnana. They are the real knowledge in my view. Bhagavan says everything that is anyatha, everything that is other than this jnana, or everything that is opposite to this is ajnana. It is ignorance. So manitva, dambha, all this is ignorance in the Lord's view. Now let's come to the next session where Bhagavan wants to give us Atma Jnana. and there are several ways how we can understand this Atma Jnana, but which is the Pramana? Our Shastras, our scriptures tell us that Shabda is the Pramana. But this Shabda of the Vedanta and Upanishada, which is given by learned Guru who is skilled in this Parampara, who uses this Shabda Praman. And the Shishya, when he listens to this by intent, by concentration, does it regularly, not just once, but it has to be done long-standing, constantly, by an open mind with a faith, where he first knows what is the goal, where he has to reach, what are the sadhana, what are the means to achieve this goal. He has the faith in the scriptures, Guru, and he has a firm resolve that no, I want to go on this path. He follows each and every word of the Guru with the meaning and keeps on listening regularly till he develops a clarity, and then only Jnana can happen, Atma Jnana can happen. So this is the Prakriya which has been described in our scriptures. So there are three mainly methods. One is Shravana, where we understand this, what is given in the scriptures by the Guru. We know what is the truth, and now the next process is to assimilate in our life. The second method is, or the sadhana is Manana, where we have to use logic to clear these doubts or sanshaya that are there in our mind. Questions are definitely welcome in Vedanta, but the role of faith is very, very important. And the main focus is the understanding. Samajhdari, buddhi, intellect, our brains are given a very, very important part in Vedanta. We have to understand this. And the third step is Nididhyasana, which is a Vedantic meditation where all our previous habitual errors, our Purva Sanskara, which are very strong for so many lives, these are called Viparyaya. The opposite samskaras we have to dissolve, and then by repeated reminder, by this new understanding has to be born in our inner self, and this is what is the Vedantic meditation. Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam means keeping the benefit of Tattva Jnana, the ultimate goal, which is eternal freedom, moksha, mukti, Atma Jnana Phala, where we always want to be happy, avoid all the pains, we want to be independent, and we must see these goals daily. These goals are nothing but moksha or mukti, and we should try and best to reach these goals. This requires a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of patience, and only the changes happen very, very, very slowly. Shanaihi uparamed. And now Bhagavan starts describing the Atma Jnana. He pledges to the Arjuna to tell him what is Yat Gneyam Tat Pravakshami, what is worth knowing. I shall tell you very clearly by which after knowing you can Amrutam Ashnute, you will attain immortality, you will know your Atma Sarupa, which is Ajara Amara, na Jayate, na Mriyate, va Kadachita. Anadi Mat Param Brahma. This Brahma is Anadi, which has no beginning. It is Param, which is the highest or the best of all. It is Avyaya, it is imperishable. Na Sat, na Asat iti Uchyate. It cannot be called Sat because we cannot see it directly. It does not exist in a way we can see by our Pratyaksha Praman or our Anuman Praman. Any of these Pramana are not useful here. So we cannot say it is definitely there. But we cannot say it is Asata. We cannot say it is non-existent, because it's only through this Tattva that we are able to perceive everything in this world. We are able to see, understand, we are able to have this Gnana. Everything is possible only with this Tattva, and that's why we can't say that it is not. And that's why it is na Sat, na Asat. Sarvata Pani Padam Tata Sarvato Kshishiro Mukham. And Bhagavan starts describing this Atma Tattva. He says all these hands, feet belong to him because they all work through this Chaitanya Tattva. Sarvata Kshishiro Mukham, the faces face all the sides, and all the ears and all the Indriyas, everything works because of this Chaitanya Atma Tattva. Sarvam Loke Avrutya Tishtati. It pervades everything because it is the Nirguna-Tatva. It pervades everything. And then Bhagavana describes this Brahma Tattva or Atma Tattva with using contradictory words. This is the technique of the Upanishadas, to use contradictory words to describe Brahma or Atma Tattva, because the Tattva is beyond words. It is beyond our mind. It is beyond our intellect. It is beyond words can describe. And that's why only with this the meaning can be indicated or lakshita kar sakte. Sarvendriya Guna Bhasam, which illuminates all the senses, sarva indriya और उनके गुणों को भास करते illuminates. It works like a Kshetragnya, but it is indriya vivarjitam. It is devoid of all the senses. Itself does not have senses. It is asakta. It is unattached, but still it is sarva brutta. It is the nurturer of all the beings. It nurtures or sustains all the beings. It is Nirguna. It devoid of any three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. But it is the guna bhoktu. It is the bhokta of all the gunas because it is the knower of all the gunas. So these are contradictory words. Again, in the next two shlokas, Bhagavan is using the similar words to describe tattva. Bahi antascha bhutanam. It is present within all the bhuta as well as outside all the embodied beings. Acharam charamevacha. It pervades all the non-living beings. It also pervades all the living beings. So it is everywhere, but only it manifests in the living beings because they have this receptacle, patra, antakarana, which can reflect this consciousness, and that's how it becomes manifest in these living beings. Sukshmatvat tad avignayam. It is very, very subtle, and that's why it remains hidden. It is not known to everyone. It is tat durastam cha antikecha. It is very far for people who don't understand, don't know, have no idea of it. Whereas it is antike, it is very near to people who are realized, who are gnani, who know this tattva. For them, it is their own Atma Swarupa. It is very, very close. And similar words are also used in Ishavasya Upanishad. Tadejati, Tannejati, Taddure, Tadvantike, Tadantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasya Bhayata. These are the shlokas of the Ishavasya Upanishad which describe the same thing, where it describes the Brahma Tattva by these contradictory words. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu. It is one in all the bodies which is undivided. Avibhaktam. It is undivided. And vibhaktam iva chastitam. But it appears as if it is divided because it manifests in different bodies, and that's why we feel all the differences. Bhuta bhartru cha tajgneyam. It is the nurturer of all beings as Vishnu. It is Grasishnu. It is the destroyer of all beings as Shiva. And it is Prabhu Vishnu, it is the creator of all these Jagata, Srushti, like Brahmaji. So in different manifestations, they present or they have different functions. Jyotisham api tat jyoti. It is the illuminous of all the lighted objects like the sun, moon. They all get illuminated with this Chaitanya Tattva. Tamasa paramuchyate. Not only it illuminates the lighted beings, but it also illuminates tamasa, ajnana. Ajnana also, I know that I have this ignorance, I have this ajnana. So it illuminates ajnana or ignorance or tamasa also. Gnanam, Gnayam, Gnana Gamyam. All the three, Gnanam, Bhagavan says all these virtues, values are Gnana. Gnayam, Bhagavan said that this Atma Tattva is the Gnaya Tattva, which is worth knowing. And third is the Gnana Gamyam, what we can achieve by Gnana, the fruits of the knowing this Atma Gnana, the Moksha or this Mukti. All these three, Bhagavan says, Riddhi Sarvasya Vishtitam. It is ingrained. All these three are ingrained in the heart of each and every being. We don't have to go out searching for all these things. It is all within us. And that's why it is said that the spiritual journey is an inner journey. We have to find out all this that is hidden in our own being. And Bhagavan then summarizes this topic by saying, Iti Kshetram tata gnanam gnayam choktam samatata. So far I have told you in brief about what is Kshetra. I have told you about what is Gnana, the virtues, the values, and I have told you what is about the Gnaya, what is Atma or Brahma Tattva. And my Bhakta, Madbhakta, my devotees, after knowing all this, they attain my only undivided self, Madbhavaya Upapadyate. They achieve my own self, they attain me, they become one with me. So devotees are Adhikaritva. Once they get this Gnana, they become one with the Lord, and that is what Bhagavan says. Now in the next shloka, Bhagavan starts another topic where he gives a different name to this. Is of course continuing the same Viveka, where initially it was called Kshetragnya, now it is called Purusha Prakruti Viveka. He says Purusha Prakruti both know that they are anadi, they have no beginning, and all the vikara and the guna that you see, the modifications and the attributes, the gunas are sattva, rajas, tamas. All these are because of arise from the Prakruti. Purusha does not have any of these. So Bhagavan is describing the same Atma and Atma Viveka with different words he's using. Draktrashya Viveka, Jada Chetana Viveka, Prakruti Purusha Viveka, Kshetragnya Viveka. And the main problem is that these gets mixed in our own self. And that's why the solution is to discriminate clearly Viveka, and not only on an individual level, Vyashti, but also on a samashti level, on a universal level. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakruti Uchyate. So Bhagavan says that Karya Karana is this Sanghata, our body, mind, sense complex. It all has this Kartrutva. Kartrutva Bhavana is the doership feeling that I have done this, I am doing this kind of a feeling. The Hetu, the cause of this is Prakruti. So Prakruti is the cause for this Kartrutva of the Karya Karana Sanghata. Whereas the Purusha is the Hetu for the Bhoktrutva of the Sukha Dukkha Adi, plain pleasure, these feelings we know. And this knowing is Bhoktrutva or Bhokta. Bhokta means to know this, the jnana that happens, this knowingness happens in our Purusha, that is our consciousness or our Chaitanya. So Purusha is the main hetu for Bhuktrutva of all the feelings like Sukha, Dukkha, etc. And Bhagavan says Purusha Prakruti stha. When they get in close proximity, they know the guna of each other, they get associated with this guna. And Bhagavan says that is the reason, Karanam Sat Asat Yoni Janmasu, that is the reason for the Sansara, birth of the Jiva in all the Sata, Asata, Yoni, all these species where he goes around in the Sansara Chakra. This is because this assimilation happens between the Purusha and the Prakruti. There is a Guna Sangha. That's why the problem happens, and that's why the solution is also to understanding this Viveka, to get rid of this Sansara Chakra. Again, Bhagavan is describing this Nirguna-Tatva, Upadrashta, Anumanta. Upadrashta means it is the observer, the Sakshi. It is Anumanta. It gives permission for everything that happens in this Karya Karana Sanghata. It is a Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. And it is also called the same Atma Tattva. Bhagavan says it is called Paramatma Tattva. Asmin Deha Purusha, which resides in this body alone. This Atma, this Paramatma Tattva, this resides in this body alone. Bhagavan is showing this address. And then he describes how knowing this Purusha, Prakruti Tattva, what is the benefit that we get. Knowing this, understanding this Purusha, which is Asanga, and the Prakruti, which has all the guna. Bhagavan says this is the only way that we will not be born again. We develop this eternal, we become eternally free, we develop moksha or we develop mukti by knowing this Tattva. That is a great benefit of knowing this self or this Atma Tattva. And then Bhagavan in the 24th shloka is describing the methods or the paths which people take to attain this. It may look that it is very difficult to understand this Tattva. Bhagavan is saying the first describes the Dhyana Marga, and that could be one of the ways some people perceive the Atma Tattva by Dhyanana Atmani, by meditation, by their purified inner self, in their own self Atmani. Anya Sankhyana Yogena, some others who are not eligible for Dhyana, they go for the path of inquiry, which is the Gnana Marga or the Sankhya Marga. And some others who are still not eligible for this Jnana Marga or this Dhyana Marga, they take help of Karma Yoga and they reach to this ultimate understanding. So Bhagavan in the Shastra also, in the scriptures, this is how it is mentioned. The highest eligibility is described first. Then if you are not eligible for the first, then we can go for the second path. If not, then for the third path. And someone who is not eligible for all these three paths, Bhagavan is showing the fourth path. In the next shloka it says, Anyetu evam ajananta. One who is ignorant of all these first three that I have shown, Shrutva nibhya upasate. They listen to other wise people and they become my devotee. They listen Shruti Parayanaha. They listen with a lot of faith and commitment in me. And that's how they cross the ocean of life and death. They cross the Sansara Sagara. They also develop moksha or mukti with this, what is called as Samarpani Yoga. That is the fourth step Bhagavan shows. So in Shastra, this is described as Adhikaritva. This is the Adhikaritva. It is like, the Uttam Adhikari who is the most eligible, who has already purified his mind, is eligible for Dhyana Yoga. But for most of us, if we have not done that, we can go by a path of inquiry, the Sankhya Yoga, or even better, the safer path is the Karma Yoga, or somebody not then the Samarpana Yoga. And this is basically stepwise progression as we go from one step to the other. And in our life, we have to assimilate everything Samanvaya to attain ultimately the Almighty. Now in the final few shlokas of the 13th Adhyaya, Bhagavan Shree Krishna is describing how this creation arises, what is the problem, what is the true vision, what kind of vision Bhagavan is expecting from us after saying all this about Kshetra, Kshetragnya, Prakruti, Purusha, Viveka, Gnaya, Gnana-Tatva, the life values, everything. Is now wanting to tell us what is the true vision that we should have in this world. In this 26th shloka, it says, Yavat Sanjayate Kinchita. He says, whatever comes into existence, whatever is good, living, non-living, everything is all because of the Sayoga, Kshetra, Kshetragnya Sayogat. It is the union or the communion or the connection between the Kshetra and the Kshetragnya. So this connection, because of this, the Sansara Chakra comes in. So wherever there is Prakruti, wherever we see Prakruti, we should try to see that Purusha, the knower, is already there. Both these together, they are always there. It is not just Prakruti by itself. It needs the Adhara or Adhisthana of the Purusha to make it vision. So this is one of the vision. In the 27th shloka, Bhagavan says, Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam. So within all the human beings, we should try to see this Samam in all these Bhuta. Samam Parameshwaram, Samaswarupa Parameshwara. The Lord is uniformly present, neither in less quantity or more quantity. And Vinashyatsu Avinashyantam. Within all these changing bodies, there is this changeless Tattva, which is already there, which we should try to see. It is always there. Bhagavan says, Yaha Pashyati Sa Pashyati. One who sees this, this is the true vision. Everything is pervaded by the Lord. Wherever we see, whatever Prakruti we see, there is always a Purusha. Wherever we see all the changes, there is always the changeless Tattva behind it. And this is what we have to see, try to see. The first line of Ishavasya Upanishad also says the same thing. Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. Everything is pervaded by the Lord. We should try to see this. This is the goal of our sadhana. In the 28th shloka, Bhagavan says the same thing. Benefit of seeing the same Brahma everywhere. The equanimous Samavasthitam present Lord. And that person who has this kind of vision, it does not hurt, does not destroy his own self. He says, Hinas na hinasti atmanam. Does not destroy his own self. Our Upanishads tell us that if we don't try to see our own self, or don't try to see that itself is like destroying our own self, this human life that is very precious, they are given to us. If we don't make the best use of it, don't understand our reality behind our own self, then itself is destruction of our self. It is called Atmaha. It is like committing a suicide. It is like destroying our own self or killing our own self. And the one who knows this, who has this Sama vision, and he attains the highest path, Tato Yati Param Gatim. He is able to see the one behind all the manifestations, varied, different, many. And behind the Prakruti, he is able to see the Maya, which is one. And behind the Maya, he is able to see the Chaitanya or the Brahma, which is one. And then Bhagavan says that, all these actions, one who sees that all the actions, karma, happens in the field of Prakruti. Prakruti eva chakriyamanani. Everything happens in the field of Prakruti. Tatha atmanam akartaram. But behind this, where this Atma, which is there, the changeless Purusha or Atma, which is there, it is akarta, it is non-action. And one who sees this, he sees the reality. This is a real vision. Bhagavan wants to tell us that all this karma happens in the Prakruti, but Atma is akarta swarupa. And then Bhagavan says, if we all, in all these different bodies of beings, one who sees that one Atma Tattva is there, it's not differentiated, different Atmas, but one Atma Tattva in all these different beings, yada bhuta puthak bhavam ekastam anupashyati. And not only there is one Atma in all these bodies, but that same Atma has vistara and becomes the same Adhisthana Brahma or pervades everything. That person who sees this like this, that is a true vision. Bhagavan says, he is attained the Brahma, he is tada Brahma sampadhyate, he attains the Brahma. And Bhagavan says many times in Gitaji also previously, Sutre Manigana Iva, one tries to see the one in the many. And then how can we see this? He's giving us two examples. One is showing us Akasha. Example of the Akasha, he says, Anaditvat Nirguna-Tatva. Bhagavan is telling that this Tattva is Nirguna-Tatva, it is devoid of all the gunas, it is changeless. Sharira, it is living in the body, but it is Nirguna. It does not do anything, it is Akarta, does not get attached to anything, it is Asanga. It's very difficult to understand how the Tattva lives in us, but still it is devoid of all gunas, it is devoid of all karmas, it is devoid of all Sangha, it is Asanga, Akarta, Nirguna. How is it possible? And Bhagavan is showing us, he's giving us two examples. The first example he gives us is of Akasha. Akasha in Shastra means the space, not the sky, which is very, Akasham Saukshma. It is very subtle, it is very Sukshma, and it remains unattached. The Lord of sun, moon, every day rises, all the clouds, the wind blows, keeps on blowing, so many planets, everything. But the Akasha doesn't get attached to anything, it remains asakta. It is very sarvavyapak, it is very vast, it is very Sukshma, but still it remains unattached. Similarly, Tatha Dehe Sarvatra Avastita. Similarly, by being present in all the bodies, the Atma Tattva remains Asanga, na upalapyate. It does not get attached. It remains Asanga, more Sukshma, more Vyapaka, and it can be remain Asanga. The second example God gives, Shree Krishna gives, is the Surya, sun. And he says that how sun is Swayam Prakasha, Chaitanya. Similarly, Chaitanya is also Swayam Prakasha. Yatha Eka Ravihi. Just as one sun illuminates his complete world. Hey Bharata, Bha also stands for the light of knowledge. Tatha Kshetri Krutsnam Kshetram Prakashayate. Similarly, one Kshetragnya, one Atma Tattva illuminates all this Kshetra. It is a Chit Swarupa, it is Atma Swarupa, it is Swayam Prakasha, and it's Prakashit, it illumines everything in this world. Coming to the final shloka, Bhagavan summarizes that one who knows these differences of Kshetra, Kshetragnya very clearly, who has seen this by his Gnana Chakshusha, who has known this by his Gnana Chakshu, the divine eyes of wisdom, Bhuta Prakruti Moksham, he is relieved of all the bondages of the nature, and Param Yanti, he attains the highest self, his own Atma Swarupa, he attains the Brahma Swarupa. And this is possible only when we become Adhikari, we develop Viveka, we go for Vairagya, Tyaga, and then we go for the Gnana Sadhana, and the Gnan Chakshusha opens up and we understand what is the Atma Tattva, Atma Gnana, which relieves us of the Ajnana and gives us the Mukti, the Moksha that we all desire all the time, we all want, we all yearn for this eternal freedom from all our limitations. And by understanding our own Atma Swarupa, our Upanishadas and our scriptures tell us that we can become free. They tell us that we are really free. It's only an illusion that we are bonded, and it's just by knowing that we have this illusion, we can become free from this bondage. So with this, we come to the end of the 13th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Kshetra Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Trayodashodhyaya Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.